Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of The World Today. I'm Ahmed Nader, and as usual, we will be discussing the latest headlines and the articles published in several news magazines from Egypt and the world. And for the first episode of the New Year 2016, we're honored to be having with us in the studio today Dr. Sharif Amir, the researcher and the political analyst of the University of Paris in France. Dr. Sharif, thank you very much for being with us today on The World Today.
Thank you, sir.
And a Happy New Year.
Thank you, same to you.
We will be starting straight away from Al-Ahram Online with the main headline saying, the Egyptian Interior Ministry blames the Transportation Authority for the Nile ferry disaster. Security officials said that the General Authority for the River Transport is the entity responsible for offering licenses to the Nile ferry boats, not the Interior Ministry, and thus bears the responsibility for Thursday's deadly incident. The security officials' comments came 2 days after a ferry sank in the Nile in the Egyptian Delta region, leaving at least 15 people dead. Earlier, the Egyptian Prime Minister Sharif Ismail ordered an immediate investigation into the incident and also called on the Ministers of Local Development and Transportation to ensure that the ferries and the boats are registered and undergo maintenance. The ferry was attempting to cross from the Egyptian Delta Governorate of Kafr Sheikh in Sandion to Bahir Dairut on Thursday night. Dr. Sharif, how do you read the Interior Ministry statements regarding the incident?
It's a good step forward because for the first time we have the sense of responsibility being blamed on another entity in the governmental arena in Egypt, and that means that there will be questioning for every incident because it's not the first time, and as we know that these ferries carry people who are from modest economic situation in Egypt. So this could be something positive that the government now is acting swiftly and firmly towards these people who are responsible for giving these license. And this would be, and I hope this would be the start of putting ahead the Egyptian citizen, whoever he is and whatever his economic situation is, putting his safety and his well-being in good state. And this is the role of every government in the world, and I think that this is an excellent step that should be followed by other steps by taking legal measures against.
Yes, in your opinion, what are the measures that should be taken by the government in the new year 2016 to be preventing such incidents and accidents in the future?
First of all, they have to review all the security measures in all these kind of fairs. Mm-hmm. This is the first thing. The second thing is any violations should be the first step to cancel any license. Of course, some people will say that these are our means of living and we earn money from it. Well, they could some possibilities to apply and reform their equipments in order to be according to the safety regulations. And if someone is found within the sphere of the governmental authorities giving license in a wrong way, he has to be questioned legally, and the government should stop him from acting in its name.
Yes.
So I think that the safety of and the well-being of the citizens is now the priority, and I think that's a good sign. Maybe the event is a bad thing, but it's the moment to show everyone that not only we will make security for foreign tourists who will come to Egypt, but also for Egyptians living here.
Yeah. Yes, and flying from Egypt to the world and turning to the Daily Star of Lebanon, and the main headline saying, Israel charges 2 Jews over the lethal arson of the Palestinian homes, killing a toddler and parents, according to radio. Israeli prosecutors filed charges on Sunday against 2 Jewish settlers for a July 31st arson attack in the occupied West Bank that killed an 18-month-old toddler Ali Saad al-Dawabsha. Israel Radio said that one adult defendant was indicted for murder and the second, a minor, as an accessory to murder. A court spokesman did not immediately confirm the report, saying that the charges had yet to be formally made public. Saad al-Dawabsha, the toddler's father, died 8 days later after his son, while Riham al-Dawabsha, the mother, died of her injuries last September. Also, a 4-year-old brother, Ahmed al-Dawabsha, survived his wounds. The incident in Israel between the Israelis and the Palestinians, which are going on daily basis since months and maybe years, would be the echo of this incident internationally.
Well, it shows that now the terrorism is not one-sided. And there is also terrorism from some extremists on the Israeli side. Mm-hmm. And the echo is that the Palestinian question and the Israeli Arab question, or the Israeli Palestinian question, is something very important now, because it's going to beyond the borders of clashes between regular armies and militias. It will be now arson attacks committed by some of the population in Israel, civilians, against other civilians, which means that the conflict now is between not only two entities or two armies or two militias, it's between the people themselves. Mm-hmm. So the international community should now recognize the fact that there is an urgent need to act to inform the Israeli government that they should have to now proceed to negotiations. Mm-hmm. And negotiations should be also in a very clear way, whether they want to achieve settlements or not. There will be peace accords according to the international resolutions or not. And Egypt is offering the mediation all the time. So I think that internationally they have to do the most they can, because now all the possibilities are open. Whether we go into a wide-scale violence or whether we go into a settlement. And we see the region now is very volatile, and there will be an act. The peoples on both sides will act sooner or later against themselves.
How do you see or anticipate the Palestinian response to such an incident?
First of all, there's a trial. Mm-hmm. This is, as I said before, it's a good step. Okay, first of all, there's a trial. There is one of the attackers who is not in the legal age to be tried. So they said he participated. But there is two of them who did this terrible act. So we're watching how there will be sanctions, or how there be legally sanctioned by the Israeli government. Mm-hmm. And this will show the seriousness of this government, whether it wants to put things in the right track or not. Because if they don't do it by legal means, we will see reactions from the Palestinian side, and they will also lose confidence in their own Palestinian authority. They will say there's not enough protection for them, mm-hmm. and negotiations are going nowhere.
Yes.
So this should be a step that Israel will take, and I think the trial should be done immediately, mm-hmm. and in the right way and in front of all the media, so it will be the message whether they want to be fair enough in this negotiations and this conflict or not.
Yes, and still in Palestine, but with Russia Today and the main headline saying, Israeli police hunt for gunman after deadly Tel Aviv pub attack. Israeli security forces pressed the manhunt for the gunman who killed 2 people and wounded 7 others at a Tel Aviv pub, as the motive for the attack remained unclear. The New Year's Day shooting came amid a wave of unrest in the occupied territories and days after the leader of the Daesh group threatened Israel with violence. After the attack, hundreds of police have been seen scouring the area and entering buildings to search for suspects as the police helicopters buzzed overhead. Media reports claim that the shooter was an Arab in his late 20s from northern Israel who had recently been jailed for attacking a soldier, but the police denied this. Dr. Sharif, how do you see the security situation in the Middle East in general and between the Palestinians and the Israelis in particular?
Well, we see the chaos that's taking place everywhere. We have seen a situation in Syria. Unfortunately, we are heading towards failed states everywhere, whether in Libya, whether in Syria, in Yemen. So we cannot call it even security. We can call it just 2 steps from war or regional war. What's going on in Israel now is very dangerous because these are Israeli Arabs. So they have the Israeli citizenship. And usually they were not implicated in any events, rarely. Now that they are taking arms and they're fighting back and like that, that means that not only the Israeli government should deal with extremists from the Israeli Jewish side, but also from Israeli Arabs. And I think that the manhunt will be very, very difficult because lots of Israeli Arabs will be suspected, and I think that this is a critical question for the Israeli government. They don't want to just generalize the question and accuse all the Israeli Arabs. They will pick some and to dismantle these. I don't want to say that there is organized movements, but some who have history with the police and criminal history. So I think that many regional conflicts should be resolved quickly because we are heading to a dangerous side now. We have seen, for example, what happened yesterday in Iran, for example, with the Saudi embassy.
Yes.
And the problem also is the security in some Arab countries, like in Saudi Arabia. We have the eastern part, which is Al-Ahsa al-Qutif, and this is a highly populated Shia population, and so now the security also there is very, very volatile because the people are emerging now against the government because of the execution of their cleric, Nimr Ayatollah and Nimr. So we can see that some of the countries who are used to have good security now, they are facing very dangerous situations actually. And from the information I have, the people in Qutif are not only, the question is not only Iranian influence, it's their own, they're speaking about their own self-declaration of independence, and this is very dangerous.
And it is the same problem in Bahrain and Kuwait as well, but
exactly.
Let me speak one more time about the Israeli-Palestinian struggle. How do you see an end in sight for such a struggle between the Israelis and the Palestinians?
Unfortunately, I can't see something very positive in it. Why? Because we have seen the division within the Palestinian side. Egypt have asked several times that the status quo in Gaza Strip should be changed. The Palestinian Authority should take in charge all the entries, but still we cannot see it. The Palestinian side should have one front, one negotiation team, and one will. We cannot act with two sides. For example, Hamas attacks and then the Palestinian Authority, the legitimate Palestinian Authority, goes to the bargaining table and negotiate. That will be very easy for Israel to stop everything and fight. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that within the Israeli government and the Israeli state, the right wing it's gaining every opinion there, because people, the Israeli people themselves, they see that they are surrounded by chaos everywhere. So they're getting together and they are being radicalized more and more on the terms of security. And this I think that both of them are, the Palestinians and the Israelis, are heading in opposite directions. Whether there will be a settlement or not, this should be something done by international mediation, and especially from the Russians and the Americans, with regional mediations like moderate region, because we have Turkey, for example, it's financing the IS in Syria, and we have the Iranians, of course, they're not in good terms with the Israelis. So the only position now is the opportunities for Egypt to bring both sides. But this will take a hard time for us in Egypt, because we have to settle and unite the Palestinian front before acting, so that will not be damage for the Palestinians.